After a 41-mile chase with speeds reaching over 100 miles an hour, police were able to throw out spike strips, stop the vehicle, and arrest the suspect. Along with giving away backpacks for students in Lamar County, some of these backpacks are full of school supplies so parents don't have to pay. All across the city there are trees, power lines, even buildings that have been knocked down due to this unexpected tornado that came into town. Car specialists say that these smart cars and environmentally friendly cars are the cars that are going to be the biggest target. This is the wall that the truck ran into. The accident left a 5-foot gaping hole just below the window. It is still under investigation, and investigators tell me that they believe the fire started out on the balcony right here on the left side of the building. Now, all of these are different types of oxygen tanks, but they all have the same goal, to regulate oxygen levels in their patients. As fiber huts, which are shown here in the red, begin to light up, workers can begin splicing the fibers throughout the entire neighborhood. People say that the most important part of tailgating is building relationships and memories. The team's main priority is to educate the community on how to respond in emergency situations, either medically or tactically. Urges city employees to get vaccinated. Henry Vaughn and Ben Carver were the only ones to Boy Scouts of America. The troops of Starkville have organized a social fun day for the public to come and participate in. Died in Crawford, Mississippi just a couple years ago. Now I'm with her mother. Thousands of football fans flooded the junction, ready to finally get back to bonding while tailgating. Now that the FDA has approved the Pfizer vaccine, OBGYNs are recommending expecting mothers to get vaccinated. 2 people are still on the run in stolen cars, but 5 law enforcement agencies arrested 2 drivers. One is in jail in Oktibbeha County, the other is in Choctaw County. I spoke with emergency management directors in Lowndes County and Webster County. Both agree now is the time to prepare for the storm to keep your family safe. Late Sunday night when Chief Tim Cook says Ackerman police got a call. There were 4 suspicious vehicles parked outside of the Choctaw County Medical Center.
We had a report of suspicious people at the hospital. They advised that there were several new vehicles pulled in and they was running around just being suspicious. So the on-duty officer along with the on-duty deputy both went over there, and then at that point they said the vehicles was leaving out and they were starting to head towards Starkville.
It turns out the vehicles were stolen from Frank's Chevrolet in Kosciuszko. The hospital may have been a drop point. Choctaw County Deputy Sheriff Dylan Cates says once law enforcement arrived, it was just a matter of time before 3 vehicles took off towards Lowndes County, creating a high-speed chase.
We got in behind 3 vehicles. 1 was the support vehicle and 2 were the stolen vehicles. A chase ensued leading us eastbound on Highway 12 to Starkville, Oktibbeha County, and Mississippi Highway Patrol along with Starkville PD.
When the chase arrived in Starkville, 1 driver got away. The support vehicle was stopped at a roadblock. However, the chase wasn't over.
They called ahead and Oktibbeha County had set up a roadblock to try to get them stopped, and they ran through the roadblock, almost striking a deputy at that point.
This is where the chase ended, right here in front of Packard on Highway 82, headed towards Columbus. After a 41-mile chase with speeds reaching over 100 miles an hour, police were able to throw out spike strips, stop the vehicle, and arrest the suspect.
The Highway Patrol deployed a spike strip which disabled the 2 front tires on the vehicle, causing him to come to a stop in the middle of 82, and a foot pursuit ensued with all those agencies involved, and he was captured shortly, a short distance from that vehicle.
It is important for us to be available to the public and to do our job.
City leaders say they are listening to both sides as they consider a vaccine policy for city workers. Mayor Lynn Spurl believes requiring a vaccine could keep both employees and citizens safe. One
of the things that I had been waiting for before proposing some response by the city was the FDA approval. And so once last Monday, I believe, the Pfizer vaccine was approved by the FDA, I felt it was time for us to look seriously at how we address our vaccination rate and our employees. We interact with the public. We have a sacred trust, and that is to keep the public safe, to keep our employees safe.
But there's some pushback. District 1 Alderman Ben Carver says he knows firsthand that city employees have some reservations about a mandate.
I think it's going to be detrimental to the city and some of our long-term city employees. We've already gotten a lot of calls from employees that have either already had COVID or extremely healthy lifestyle. You know, if they've already had COVID, they feel like they have the antibodies. So we're going to lose several employees that just want to have that choice.
Mayor Sproul maintains the proposed policy is about public health and safety.
My biggest concern is that we protect the public. The employees of the city of Starkville are public servants, and we interact with the public on a regular basis. The ones that you most strongly encourage are your first responders, because they're the ones who are going to people who are at their most vulnerable. They're hurt, or they're frightened, or they're in need of that contact.
Carver says if the policy passes and first responders leave their jobs, there could be consequences.
I know the fire department's already down 11 employees. I'm looking for 6 to 7 or 8 more resignations. It's could affect our fire rating, could affect life and safety, health issues. It's something that this board and mayor needs to understand. If they pass this, it could shut down a couple departments temporarily.
Mayor Sproul says the decision won't be taken lightly, but hopes the board can come to an agreement on the issue.
It's not a simple thing. It's a much more complex issue than one might think.
Got 146 for that heart rate.
In just 4 months, the Mississippi Department of Health has reported 72 fetal deaths related to the coronavirus. These deaths are why physicians like Dr. Douglas Michael Turner are recommending the vaccine to their patients.
A year ago, we weren't seeing this. I mean, our pregnant patients, honestly, we didn't have many that even got infected with COVID. And when they did get infected, they were having very mild symptoms. The Delta variant is a completely different, almost like a different virus in the way it affects people. But our pregnant patients are getting infected at a much higher rate. And they're getting very, very sick compared to the way they were before.
According to Dr. Turner, Columbus alone has had 3 mothers who were unvaccinated experience a fetal death due to COVID. During an interview with White House vaccination coordinator Bishara Shukair, he told me that this is the time when women should talk to their doctor about the vaccine.
It's always important for pregnant women to talk to their doctor about getting vaccinated. I would defer on a case-by-case basis. The message from the CDC is clear. If you're pregnant, it's really important to get vaccinated to protect yourself and protect your baby.
Dr. Turner says doctors have seen the vaccine work in pregnant women for over a year, and expecting mothers should consider the benefits the vaccine has for both them and their baby.
They've done some studies, and what they found is that people who acquired COVID a year ago and developed antibodies from that infection, okay, when you compare the antibody levels in those patients and you compare them to people who received Pfizer, Moderna vaccines, that the antibody levels are much higher in vaccinated patients.
According to the CDC, 147 pregnant women have died in the U.S. because of COVID, and Shukair says the vaccine can help that number from getting bigger.
The stories that we're hearing about pregnant women ending up in the hospital, in ICU, losing their baby, or dying are just so unfortunate at a time where we know we can prevent those hospitalizations, prevent those deaths through the effective and safe vaccines that we have.
I'll never forget.
Just 20 years ago, on September 11, 2001, 343 firemen gave the ultimate sacrifice. In honor of them, firefighters like Annabeth Robertson walked up 110 flights of stairs to pay respects to those fallen heroes.
I think it is a really good way for us to remember the 343 that passed when they were at 9/11. Just gives us a little taste of what it might have felt like.
Members of the Starkville Fire Department climbed up and down 11 stories of Davis Wade, only resting to reflect. It's a path Sergeant Michael Edwards and Captain Brian Arnett have made before, and it doesn't get easier emotionally or physically.
Every year as I do this, I like to reflect on the sacrifices that the men and women made on that day selflessly for people that they didn't even know.
It's an honor to be able to do something like this as a way of showing respect to people that laid the ultimate sacrifice for us.
The Starkville Fire Department has put up these red posters on each of the levels, which include all of the names of those firemen who died while serving during 9/11. The firemen say that it's motivation to keep going.
I think it's inspirational a little bit. You know, when I'm tired, which at some point during that everyone's tired, is to find that one person. You know, there's kids that were working their first day there, and there's 70-year-old people that spent a life in service to the fire department that died that day.
On one of the pieces of paper, there's a firefighter that was 23 years old, and that's how old I am. So as I'm going up and down, it's like, okay, that could easily be me.
Chief Charles Yarborough says while this stair climb does not compare to what men and women went through on that day, it is a reflection of why they do their job.
Those guys are heroes. They ran in knowing that they probably weren't going to make it out, but they still did their job. So every time we walk the steps, it's a reminder that every day that we need to be prepared to go above and beyond to make sure our citizens are taken care of just like they did.
In Starkville, Holly Emery, WCBI News.